Let the program begin. Tonight, we are highly honored to have a very special keynote speaker, a woman who has achieved many accomplishments in both leadership and in speaking. Let me tell you about just a few of them. From 2010 to 2012, she served as International Director of Toastmasters International. That means she was part of the executive committee of the entire Toastmasters International organization. In addition, she has been a district governor for District 1 and led that district to distinguished status during her term. This speaker has always believed in the power of what Toastmasters can do. She's been so motivated by that she has built over 50 clubs from Seattle to Los Angeles, from Florida to Australia. 50 clubs, over. She just chartered a new club in District 52 at the Think Well group. Plus, she is chartering a new one in Las Vegas within a month. In 1990, she won the District 1 International Speech Contest. In 2005, she won District 52's Evaluation Contest. As you can guess, you got a great speaker coming up here. Our speaker has been honored by Toastmasters Roy D. Graham Lifetime Achievement Award, and in 2002, she won the International President's Citation for Service. She was given that. In her other life, our speaker has been a key personality in the development and growth of the leisure entertainment industry for more than 20 years. She is a business development and strategies consultant, working with dozens of clients worldwide, including 20th Century Fox Studios, Edwards Technologies, Cirque du Soleil, Paramount Studios, Universal Studios, and Disney. She will be giving us the benefit of her vast knowledge in her keynote entitled Brainstorming, How to Unleash Your Mental Flexibility. Let's give a warm welcome to distinguished Toastmaster, past District Governor, and past International Director, Roberta Perry.
How are you tonight?
Great.
Oh, wait a minute. What club is this?
I don't know.
Toastmasters for Leaders. You're an enthusiastic, excited group, so how are we tonight? Much better, much better. I love that kind of enthusiasm. Now, Carolyn noted that we're building a new club here in District 52. No club ever gets built without an incredible team. Carolyn knows that. We all know that. And I want to make sure you know that one of the sponsors for that club is our Division C governor, Annette McCullough, who has done an outstanding job of sponsoring that club. And we've had 40 members, right? We had 40 people sign up. Wow. The word has it, we're close to the 40 to be able to send in the chartered information so that we have a new club for District 52. Wow. And Think Well Group, just for the knowledge of this group, is one of the 5 leading design companies on the planet to build the Disneys, the Universals, theme parks all over the world. They're currently designing the Warner Brothers theme park in Dubai, and currently designing the Monkey theme park in Beijing. So we're thrilled to have that club, and Annette, great job in getting everybody going the other day, so thank you so much. A big round of applause. Now, how many of you have sat in a meeting and you had this great idea, and then they said, that's a stupid idea? I know, I've been there. Or how many of you sat in, or how many of you sat in a meeting and you've gotten your ideas out at the table and somebody in the room or a whole group of the people in the room go, we did that before, it didn't work, so go on, move on, next idea. Or you've sat in a room and you've put into all your work and you've got these great ideas and you've got them out there and the whole room says, no. Has anybody had that one?
Yep.
Bill and I. I'm raising both hands on that. I've been there, done that. I mean, of course, I started in Toastmasters when I'm 2, so I've gone through a few of these where people have said no. I started my Toastmaster and my business career in Seattle, Washington. Go Seahawks.
Yes.
I just got a new T-shirt tonight. So but I started that career up there, and when I joined Stuart Anderson, of course, Stuart got me into his office 3 days after I joined the company as a secretary, and highly recommended that I join a Toastmasters club because, as he said, you'll fail as a woman in the restaurant industry if you don't join Toastmasters and do what it is they want you to do. So I did go down the street. I joined 3 days later on February 14th. And as some of you know from my experience with that club, there were 27 men and me. I had no problem saying yes to joining that club. And they began to train me. One of the things that I discovered in Toastmasters, let alone in my business, but in Toastmasters, was that some of those same boxed-in ideas, those rigid ideas, I found in Seattle. For example, I would work my way up. I had been the area governor, like Serena is, I'd worked my way up into the organization in Seattle. We didn't have divisions at the time, but I thought, I'm ready. I'm going to run for Lieutenant Governor of Marketing. At that time, it was called Lieutenant Governors of Administration. So I was going to run. So I had to go to the nominating committee and present my case. This was back in the late 1970s. Remember, women were only allowed into the organization in 1973. So in the late 70s, I go before this board of men, and I say, I'm ready, here's my credentials, here's what I'd like to do. And you know that no? Well, they not only said no, they said no with an exclamation point, and then they said, Roberta, we might have allowed you women in, but you're not ready for leadership. So go away. Was literally what they said. Now, I don't go away easily. And I think most of you know that about me. I do not go away easily. So I came out of the room and I went, wow, they have got me in a box. They've got themselves in a box. So what am I going to do? And I thought, and I thought, and I went, I know. The gentleman who was leading the no cheerleading in that room was the past president of Toastmasters. But he was chairing a committee in District 1, or District 2, I'm sorry, District 2. I thought, what if I volunteer to be on that committee? So I did, and then I worked very hard. And by the end of that year, he put my name into nomination to be the Lieutenant Governor of Marketing. So there, I found a way around working outside of, out of the box. But at my company, the same thing was going on. Again, this is the late 70s, and hopefully things have changed. But my boss, who was the entertainment director, and we had roughly 40 restaurants at the time, we were in charge of the P&L, the profit and loss in the nightclubs. He retired. He decided he didn't want to be on the road anymore, and I went, oh, this is great. I could be the entertainment director. Well, I went to Stuart Anderson and said, I'm ready. And he said, Roberta, you're a woman. I'm not going to put you on the road. I would think you're not going to be safe out there. You can't do the job. You're a woman. Now, I love Stuart because every time he said that to me, I would find ways to make him rethink it. So I said, well, Stuart, then allow me at least to go to the board of directors and present my case. And he said, okay, you can come to the board, present your case. If they decide you could do that, then I'll support it 100%. So I went to the board, and I have been trained by Toastmasters. I did the best speaking to persuade speech I had ever done. Right out of the basic manual. I was in there, I was so excited. And at the end, all these men looked at me, and they started down the road. Not Stuart, he was sitting here. Bruce Atterbury, the senior vice president, was here, and each one of them said, Roberta, I'm sorry, but no. You've got the qualifications. You've made more money than Bob ever has made in this particular department. You definitely could do the job, but to have a woman in this position, there's not another woman in the United States in this position. And I went down through all of them, and they all politely said no, until we got to Bruce. Now, Bruce Atterbury stands about 6'7". So when he stands up, the world pays attention. He stood up, and he said, I disagree with all of you. Let's do this. Why don't we tell our industry that Bob Anderson is on vacation for 3 months? Let's let Roberta have that job. If she can do what I think she can do, we'll promote her. If she can't, no harm, no foul. Stuart agreed. And he said, in fact, if you do it, I'll celebrate, and we'll have a big party. Well, 3 months later, he had a big party for me in Colorado Springs. And he invited everybody, and it was the best party I think I've ever attended, because I got that position. I went from losing $1 million to making $30 million in less than 18 months for the organization. I had a phenomenal team. But it was all because I didn't agree to be in a box. And there was somebody who agreed with me that I shouldn't be in a box. Because remember, when you got in the box thinking, you're stuck in a box. But once you get outside of the box disappears. But how do we handle that mental inflexibility that we often run into when we're in our clubs and our businesses? And that's what I want to spend the rest of my time, is sharing with you something I learned when I journeyed from Seattle to Los Angeles. And I came down here to start a business called Edwards Technologies. And we were going to be doing, or we still do, technology, entertainment technology for restaurants, nightclubs, theme parks, museums, zoos, aquariums, visitor centers, retail stores. We have an office in LA, an office in New York, an office in Germany, and we've just opened our office in Shanghai. So I work with very, very creative people. But when I first moved to Los Angeles, I went into a Toastmaster meeting. And I will never forget it, because I ran into the same attitudes. I thought, wait a minute, in Seattle, in my Toastmaster world up there, I kept running into the no's, can't do that, we've done it before, fail, fail, fail. And here I go into a committee meeting for the district, and the first thing, because I'm excited, I've got ideas. I put those ideas out, and the thing I get is, we've done that before, it didn't work. The other one was, you're from Seattle. What works in Seattle doesn't work in Los Angeles. San Francisco definitely doesn't work in Los Angeles. And one of those, I couldn't believe that rigid in-the-box thinking. I thought, what am I going to do? How do I change behavior? Not only in Toastmasters, but how do I change behavior in my organization, in my business? How do I change that? And then something magical happened. I had the opportunity to meet two of the most amazing mentors of mine, who have mentored more people in the world than, if I have touched as many people as these gentlemen have touched, I would count myself so blessed. The first gentleman was Buzz Price. Now, Mr. Harrison is the gentleman who put Disneyland down at Disneyland. He's the one that did all the feasibility for Orlando. He's the one that told Disney, do not build in France, but they didn't pay attention to him. He's the one that put all of the Disneylands where they are, except for the one in France, where he refused to work on it, didn't want it to go there. He wrote a book called Walt's Revolution by the Numbers. He is the numbers man, and if you want to understand numbers in Disney, this was the gentleman. He had a heart as big as gold, but he also was a best friend with Walt Disney and taught us, who were his mentors, or his mentees, I should say, what Walt did when he found rigid, in-the-box thinking. The other gentleman, unfortunately, by the way, Mr. Price has passed on. He's left a legacy, though, that we've all so appreciate. The second gentleman is still with us, and we are so excited. He's 79 years old. He's a legend in Disney. His name is Marty Sklar. Marty has been with every Disney property since Disneyland. And he was the head of creative. You cannot go anywhere on the planet without thanking Marty Sklar for what we've been given in every Disney property. But he too was a good friend of Walt Disney. In fact, Walt got him out of UCLA and told him that he was going to head up Main Street newspaper. So that was his very first job. This is his brand new book called Dream It, Do It. And it's an outstanding book on how to think outside of the box. One of the things both of those gentlemen taught me is how to actually do it. And I thought I would share it with you this evening. So I have a handout for you. Pass that way. There is a process called charretting. Charrette, C-H-A-R-R-E-T-T-E. It's a French word. In France, when you had a charrette, it was in the architectural schools. So what would happen is at the end of a period of time where the architects would have to draw something, a little cart called the charrette would go down the hallways, and the architects would put their plans in the cart, and off they'd go. Later, it was the same carts during the French Revolution where the heads were put into that cart and they ruled. But Walt decided that he was going to take that word and create what was called a charrette. So in the industry, we would go into charrettes where what you see on that paper is how the charrettes were run. I want you to pay particular attention to the rules. Now, these are all Walt Disney's. There are three parts to it. Of course, when you're doing a charrette, this is to get a group out of the box thinking, you identify the problem, and then you make sure in the room you have a lot of dreamers. But we're in a room here of dreamers, so I'm never worried about that. And then during the dreaming side of it, here are the rules. You set the time, you start the session, there are no bad ideas. Every idea is a good idea. You use a flip chart or a whiteboard, you put everything down, and you time it fast. You want things to come out as soon as people think about it, right off the top. Fast, fast, fast. Once you get all those ideas on paper, you end that brainstorming session. But you only want to do maybe 10 minutes, 15 minutes, but you get everything out. Once that's done, you change your behavior and you go to stage 3 called the realist. The realist takes a look at what you put on the board, and what they take a look at is what's possible from what we came up with, or is there a way to combine what we came up with in order to have even a better answer. So the realist always looks about how do we do it based on that. And then stage 4, of course, is the spoiler. We always have to have 1 or 2 spoilers in the room that go, no, that's not going to work. But what if? That's why you want people in the room who can be those spoilers. Fellow Toastmasters, we've all been in those meetings. I highly recommend you take a look at this process that he designed, that Walt Disney designed, that Disney has used forever. Universal, just about every company that I work with uses this process in order to get the great ideas out on the table. And with those great ideas come incredible, incredible projects. And within our world of Toastmasters, we've got more ideas than anybody. Anybody. And we should get all those ideas out there. So we are, and we continue to be, the best organization on the planet, not only to improve our communication skills, but where leaders are truly made. Madam Chair.